Hello and welcome to Andy's Shed Live for this Sunday the 19th of September 2021. Hello there everybody and welcome to the show. It's that time of the day again. Hope you've had a good week out there. We've got a packed one for you this week, so just bear with me while I get myself sorted out so I can see the chat and things and give people time to join up as well. Oh yeah, and it says I'm live on the channel, which I am, so that's good. Cool, there I am. Right, what's everybody doing in the chat? Fat Hobbit's here, Christopher 2000's here, Dominic's here, Wesley's here, and Jimmy's here. Hello everybody. Dominic says, regarding telephones, his red 746L is nearing completion after he found a genuine dial bezel. Excellent! You did well to find one of those because they're a rare thing at the best of times, but a red one particularly. Fat Hobbit says, can you show some photos in the forum, Dominic, when it's done? Yes, Dominic, stick some photos in the forum, please. And talking of photos in the forum, one or two people, a couple of people now, have been in touch with me to say they're having trouble uploading photos to the forum. If you go to the forum now, you will find there is a thread on there where I've explained how to do it with screenshots. So if you've had problems uploading your pictures to the forum so far, have a little look back on there now, and you will find a thread on how to do it. Basically, the key things to remember is you can only upload up to three photos in one post. So if you want to upload, let's say 6 photos, you've got to do 2 posts, one after the other, and sort of reply to yourself, sort of thing. So we don't get spammed by bots and things who want to put thousands of photos into the forum. If you want, and the other thing to remember is your photos have got to be under 1 megabyte each in size as well. That's so we don't get massive photos clogging everything up. If you want to go to the forum and take a look at it, then it's here at gpotelephones.proboards.com. That is the place to go if you want to have a little look there on the forum. And if you want to buy stuff, remember we've got an online shop that sells telephone bits and pieces as well as other things, and you can find the online shop here, andysemporium.coldpress.net, and there you see just some of the telephone bits and pieces that are for sale on there, including a very limited number of genuine 741 cases that you can see in the picture there, sort of top middle right-ish. The 741 cases, will be coming back to that a little bit later in the show because we're going to be restoring a 741 tonight. Also on the forum, we sell model railway stuff on the forum as well. If I just adjust this camera a bit, and just recently I've been making up these little kits. These are 009 scale, so basically 4mm scale on N-gauge track, and I'm making up these little kits for 009. I produced these kits. These are for sale in the shop as well, andysemporium.coldpress.net. If you want if you're into railway modelling and you want to buy some of these 009 kits. I realised that that 009 scale modelling was ridiculously expensive for the actual size of the of the vehicles and that. So we've produced these kits. They're all under a £5, each of these kits. Some of them are well under a £5, and these are just some of them. I particularly like this little tank wagon. I think that's quite nice. You can put your own couplings on them. I have, on this particular example, put my own design of 3D printed coupling, which will also be on sale soon, although they are a bit overscale, but they are cheap and simple if you just want a run around layout. So if you want 009 narrow gauge kits, andysemporium.corepress.net is the place to go to get those. Same place as your telephone bits. There you go, there's the thing there. Right, so that's that. So I will put those to one side actually, because we've got quite a lot on tonight. Where can I put them? Where can I put them where I know where they are? And get bashed around. Rapidly running out of space in here. We do this show out of here. It's like the smallest room of the house, and it's really, really difficult to do stuff out of here. Proper shed would be bigger than this room is. Right, here we go then. So as I have said, tonight we are going to be restoring a Teller 741. So here is the basis of the project. This is what arrived, basically. I'll stick that round there, and then you can hopefully see it. So this is what arrived. It is a 741 in theory. It is just a case. It's got a half a screw wedged in there, which we need to get out somehow. In fact, that might be one of the things that we do first. It has got a dial that seems to rotate 1001, but it's slow. So there it is. Right, turn a bit of paper over so it's blank and white. So I'll put in little bits that we need on there. Now, one of the things about 741s is you will need a case screw to hold it all together. Luckily, I've got one. I got a base for a phone, just the plastic base piece with nothing on it. And the plastic base, because this is kind of moulded into the plastic base, luckily had got this little screw in it. Now these screws, if I hold this up to this camera, these are a bit of a weird shape. If you can see that, this always fools me, which I've got to move to get stuff in focus on this camera. As you can see, they're a bit of an oddball shaped head on these screws. That is crucial for the case. An ordinary screw will probably not do. You will almost certainly need one of these specially shaped screws. It's not crucial, you can put it together without the screw in, but you really could do with one, so keep an eye out for those, because again, they are as rare as rocking horse dung. So here we are. Here's the phone, and I think the first thing we want to try and do is get this pointy screw out that somebody has put in, because this has got a point on it. This is just a screw that somebody has erroneously wedged in there, I think. And I'm looking at the case now and thinking that that screw hole has been damaged. by somebody wedging that in. So maybe I would be better to rebuild it all on the other base that I've got. So I'm just considering that as a possibility. Shall I rebuild it all on the other base? Then you can see it go from scratch, can't you? Yeah, I think we're going to rebuild it all on the other base. Now, this will involve me disappearing for a couple of minutes because I've got to go up 2 flights of stairs. Well, up a flight of stairs and a loft ladder to actually get to the other base. So I'm going to disappear for like 2 minutes, but I promise I will be back. So back in just a couple of minutes. Don't go anywhere. Right, I've returned. Here I am. So I've now got the other base. And what I'm doing is looking at it all, see how it actually fits together, this. Because it is a bit of a strange thing how it fits together. Right, so what I've done now is I've got another base here because this one, see that screw hole there is intact and it's got a metal bush in it that is threaded, and this one is all mangled on this. So this is a 741 GNA 76-2. This is 741 GNA 77-2. So very similar era, both GNA as a manufacturer code, so it's about as close as you're ever likely to get. So what we're going to do is we're going to start swapping bits over then. So this is where it all starts to get interesting. So the first thing to do is to take the dial off, of course, which is mounted a bit different on one of these, but there is still a sort of dial clamping screw thing there. So cracky, we've done that up, Jeff Capes. So we'll take that off. That bed unhooks there like that. So the dial is now off. What I'm going to do, I'm going to try and do it by leaving that on there. Right. Next thing I have to do is release the top here, which is actually connected to the top of the bells. Really, really tight, these screws in this one. This hasn't been apart in a while. So by taking these screws out, we might actually get somewhere. I'm on that silly top chat again as well instead of the live chat. There we go, that's better. Looks like Peter's joined us as well. Well, hello Peter, and Spriggs here as well. Hello everybody. So here we go. The aim is to hopefully have this working by the time we go off air tonight. So we might still be here till midnight. No, I don't think it'll take quite that long. So we take those out now, and then this here, now you see, all falls apart. So now move the dial a bit. Now, because there's a screw in the middle of the circuit board here. The circuit board is, as far as I know, exactly the same as the circuit board in the 746 in one of these. So we should be able to take that out, release that circuit board. Now, like so. Next thing to do is going to be to look under the phone, and there's two screws there that hold the bell coils in. And what I'm doing here, I'm trying to take it all apart as one piece to save a lot of disconnecting and reconnecting of parts. Now sometimes there's a washer, sometimes there's sort of a nylon washer between the screw and the underside of the bell coil. I don't know if there will be in this case or not. Doesn't look like there was because it's on a plastic base, so it won't really do much. Right, so everything is now in theory disconnected. So what we should be able to do now is this superstructure, we should be able to push it out backwards. Can you see how it's slotted in there? It can't go this way because there's a kind of ridge, but it should be able to go backwards. So that side's going. What about this side? That side's now going. So just push it out backwards. And this is where you do need Jeff Capes. that's it, it's gone. There we go. That's it. And I found two little caps there that were shot off from, I believe they were under the bells. I believe they were on there like that. Never seen those before on one. There must be something that gets lost when they get taken apart. Right, so what we're going to do now is take all this lot now. It's all still in one piece, it's all still wired together, but this is the quick way of doing it. There's our base with the broken thing there. Take that out and just replace it for one that's not got that broken. Now there's something broken on this. One of the standoffs on the wall, one of the little feet that are unique to a 741 base, one of those is broken, but I'd rather replace that bit of plastic than have to re-tap that hole there. So this is the better one of the two. So we've now put this one in place. I'll put those little caps back on there. And first thing we need to do now is get it all roughly where it ought to be. Like so. And slide those feet back in there. One side has started to go. The other side hasn't. This is going to be a bit awkward, I think. Yep, that's it. It's on its way. They fell off. Put them back on. Before I go any further, perhaps I ought to slide those bell coils, not bell coils, slide those gongs in there. Like so. Right. Push, 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 and it's back in. Right, so now I can, in theory, now refit the gongs. There those. So I'm not going to tighten these up for now because I've still got all the rest of it to jiggle into place, remember. In fact, I think I've put the wrong ones in there. I think I should have put the longer ones in rather than the shorter ones. Or should I? Yes. I think. You're probably yelling at me now, telling me I'm putting the wrong ones in, aren't you? Are they even all the same length? Right, that's the one out of your circuit board, it should be. Those two are the same, those two are the same. same. Shorter. Shorter. So I believe those shorter ones should go in the coils, I believe. Right, that's two little notches in the back of the circuit board that engage with the feet of that, and that all engages together. And those little things that go under the bell coils that I was talking about, there was one in there. Just discovered it. And that's a little standoff that in theory fits under the bell coils. Just to raise it up slightly. I don't think it's crucial, and as I've only got one of them, then I'm not going to put it in for now. But it is something we can come back to if we need to. Right. So let's have a little look underneath. I think these two shorter screws are the ones that should go underneath so they don't interfere. With the coil. Now you've got to get these lined up. Which is not always terribly easy. I know you can't see what I'm doing, but I've got to look at it. I need to get the first one in. There we go. That's in, and that doesn't protrude too far up in here, you see. So that's one. So next one for the belt coils. Get everything lined up again underneath. Start it by hand. There's two. So they are now back in, as you can see there, those two screws. Right. So now I've got to get everything else back in place. So I've not put that circuit board in yet, which is good because I've got to rehang all this now. This is always a bit fiddly and I never quite know quite how this should go until I've done it. Who was watching when it came apart? Oh, it's there, isn't it? Of course it is. You fool. No, not like that. Like... No. I'm fiddling here now, aren't I? I'm just looking at what people are saying in the chat as we are going through. Dominic says, are they both plastic bases? 1976 is quite early for a plastic base, but I'm thinking in terms of 746s. Yeah, they're both plastic, Dominic. Yeah, they are both plastic. Farbit says, I'm not familiar with wall phones. What are the two yellow boxes on the side? Two yellow boxes on the side. They're capacitors on the circuit board. These things, you mean? These? Yeah, they're just capacitors on the circuit board. Some have three. They're not always yellow boxes though. They're sometimes, is it grey or green boxes sometimes? But yeah, they're capacitors basically. Christopher says he'll be getting his new grey 746 soon. That will be good. Right, let's go back to this and see if I can figure out what I'm doing wrong. Right, it's got to ride those, but has it got to do it without the circuit board in? Right. That's it, I've got it. We've got two. That's it. There's two little... Right. There's two little tabs on this. This is why I couldn't do it. There's two little tabs on this, here and here, that engage in these little holes here. So you've got to get everything the right way around. Put all that under there into that hole there. Then get that little sticky up tab there between these two tabs as well on each side. Because they're the things that kind of limit its travel. So you should end up with something like that. And at this point you can now put those screws back into the bells. Because if you don't, it'll all very quickly fall apart again. So That goes in there. That goes in there. Then I'll stuff a screw in before we start. That might make it a little bit easier. Alright. So we'll put a screw now. Back into one of the gongs, right. Now let's see if we can get this on and get it to stay where it's supposed to. Right, there. Then another screw. Goes in. This time in here. And there we go. And remember, you can rotate these gongs. The screws are not in the centre, remember, so you can rotate the gongs to make more or less space for the clapper to alter the volume of the clapper. Right, so that's all screwed back together. So next thing I can now do is re-secure the circuit board. And the circuit board on this was kind of a self-tapping screw because it's going into plastic. So fairly cheap and nasty. And you've got to do this before you put the dial in, because the dial will be above it and you won't be able to get at it. So line it. So now the GPO used to have a special screwdriver for doing things like this that would hold the screws. It kind of had a split end on it. This end was kind of split and spring loaded and sort of moved side to side. It took me ages to get one of those screwdrivers, and I got one and I tried to use it and I found it's not actually very good. So if you see one of those screwdrivers you think, oh, I need one of those, you really don't. They're good for putting screws in, but you can't put any kind of torque on them at all, because it twists the end of the screwdriver and breaks it. Basically they're good for just dropping the screw in, but an ordinary screwdriver with a bit of blue tack or something on the end of it. And if your screw is magnetic, if it's a steel screw, if you get a screwdriver and get a very strong magnet, like a neodymium magnet out of an old hard drive or something, and stroke the magnet along your screwdriver, assuming you're using a normal screwdriver, not one of these fancy things with bits in, but a normal screwdriver, stroke a neodymium magnet along it the same way all the time, just for a couple of minutes maybe, you will magnetise the screwdriver, and then you'll be able to grab screws with the fact it's magnetic, which will probably work better in this application. Right, so that's in now. Circuit board is back in, so dial can now go back in. So with these, the dial mounts there. The thing that's normally on top of the bell set in a desk phone, the two slots that these things mount into, are actually up here, because remember it's a wall phone, so everything's a bit sort of upside down. So there's your two slots. Then that screw just that screw there just falls into there, and then we tighten that up, and that's your dial in place. And I'm going to now just tweak the bells up a bit. And what have I done wrong here? Can you see what I've done wrong on this side now? That should be around 90 degrees, and what I've done wrong is this rod here is not parallel. It should be parallel, that rod. So what I need to do is try and just push these out a bit. Will that work? Right, I've got to disconnect these again. So I'll just try loosening these and see if that gives me enough play. I'm just loosening these to get this mechanism back out again, and it does. Now that rod, that's got to be down like that, so this rod becomes parallel like that. Then put this back in. Okay, so can you see, not with it, you don't want it going in like that with this in the air, this thing here. You want it with that more or less flat on that micro switch down there that it's supposed to hit on. So we go back like that. Now that's right now. So got to get all this now back where it should be. That. That's that. And now that is touching on that micro switch. See that? So now I can do my bells up again. My bell gongs. Remember, if you have one gong is a 24A, one gong is a 24B. If you look at them underneath, you'll see one is a lot thicker than the other, and that's how you get that distinctive British telephone sound, because it's actually playing two notes. It's like playing a chord kind of thing. Right, so I've now swapped over the bass. Yeah, so that's all the bass done, like that. Okay, right, we'll carry on. So, bass is there now. So what we now need is we need a case for it, don't we? And it just happens that I have a case for it here. If you're doing this restoration yourself, as I said earlier, and you want one of these cases, a genuine one, not a repro one, I have got some for sale on the shop website here, andysemporium.coldpress.net. This is one with all the furniture on it, if you like. So it's got the blanking thing here where the buttons would go, which is held on with two metal clips on the back there, so that's all assembled. And we've also got a blank ring on there. What I don't know, before anybody asks me, is if 741s ever had an alphanumeric bezel on them. I don't know. 711s certainly did, but I don't know if 741s like this did. And because I knew somebody was going to ask that sometime in the next couple of seconds. So that's that anyway. Right, so there it all is. I'm just catching up with what people are saying in the chat. Christopher says he's made his black GEC 711 look like a 1970s 711. Well, it is a 1970s 711, isn't it? Well, it's not a 711, it's a clone, but it is a 1970s one. Dominic says, did you dig up any more potatoes? No, there's still two rows in the garden, Dominic. You want digging up. So I had 4 rows originally and dug up 2, and there's still 2 in there. Right, the case will eventually go on like that, but before the case goes on, we've got a bit of rewiring to do, haven't we? Because we need a receiver handset and we need a line cord, so we'll do that next. Right, I've got some bits here, again more recycled bits, and one of the and it's all tied together. I need something to cut it with because somebody's put a cable tie on it. Don't you just hate when people put cable ties on things? Alright, that's got rid of that. So what have we got here? Various bits and pieces. Right, we've got a line cord here. I don't know what this is a line cord to. This, it may be a trim phone or something a bit more modern, but I'm not going to use that because we don't need one with a grommet on this end, and I might need this for something else, so I'm not going to use that to do this. I am however going to use this curly cord, which as you can see here is absolutely filthy. Now what do we do when we have a filthy curly cord? We wash it basically, and that is what I am about to do. Now I'm going to be disappearing out of the chat while I go and watch this, because I have to put you on a mobile camera. So before I go, I'll just catch up with the chat. Jimmy says the first phone we ever had was ivory. It had numbers and letters. I think we got it about 1967-68 because I was going in the hospital. Was that a wall phone though, Jimmy? Dominic said that's very interesting. About the time lettered bezels were begin to be phased out. Yeah, it was. Yeah. So we don't know. Right. I will disappear out of the chat for a moment, and we'll go and we will clean up this this line cord. So I will activate my magic roving camera. If I can. It's taking a bit of activating actually today. Come on, camera. There it is. Right, so we should be able to have the roving camera mobile in a minute. There it is. So now you should be on this roving camera. Now, so we're looking at what we've done so far here, and while I've got this closed camera, I can show you around this end of this thing, and this is the little brass bush with a screw thread in it that was mangled up on the other base, which is why I had to change it. Okay, right, so we'll now go and clean up this rather manky curly cord. Walk this way. And I've got to put lights on now. It's getting so dark at night. I've actually got to put lights on. Right, so we will clean up the curly cord now. Now, there was a way of doing this. I don't know why it is, but this camera always seems a bit on the bright side. Right, so all we've got to do basically is dosh it up and down in a bowl of soapy water. So here's my bowl, bit of warm water in the bowl, a bit of washing up liquid, not an advert for fairies, other washing up liquids are available. And all we're going to do is just dosh this up and down, don't worry about it, just dosh this up and down in the water. Note how filthy it is before we start and how manky it is, and we'll do the magic thing with this. Now to do this you really want a cloth that's slightly abrasive, and I got this, this came from Lakeland Plastics that send catalogues out for like kitchen goods and stuff. This is something I got from them, and it's just abrasive enough to get the muck off these, but not too abrasive to damage it. And all you do is you get hold of one end of the thing and you just run the cloth down it, and can you see already how much cleaner that is? Now this will probably make your curly cord go strangely uncurly. I'm just trying to make it all curl the same way for a start. Right, hang on. Just get it all curled the same way round to begin with. Helps. That helps later when you come to try and recurl it to get a nice tight curl on it. Start with it all the same before you put it in the warm water, and that water isn't really warm enough, so I'm just going to hot it up with a bit more hot. So there we go. Now that cord is now almost all curled the same way. Just end it. There we go, all curled the same way now. Still filthy grotty, as you can see. Dump that in the water. Now slosh it around in the warm water. And if they're really mucky, sorry about the light in this camera by the way, if they're really filthy, you can give them a good soak, obviously. But because I'm pushed for time here, and you don't want to be waiting around while it soaks, we're just going to start doing that. Keep doshing your cloth in the water, keep doshing the cord in the water, and yes, it will seem to be losing a bit of its curl. Don't worry about that though for now. Now the one thing you might lose on your cord is this little label. Your little label here might disappear. Your original label. If it does, then it'll be in the water. You can get it out of the water and dry it out. If you're bothered. Now, of course, I have done this before, but it always seems to amaze people when I do this with these cords. What I'm going to do next, which is basically to recoil it. So, here's your cord now, looking a lot cleaner. The worst thing to do is the grommets and things on the end. Stick that in the water and just give it a bit of a scrub. It's really bad actually, this one. One of the dirtiest curly cords that I've seen in a while. Right, so there it is, basically sort of cleaned up now, so I can get rid of me dirty water. Just find a towel to dry my hands. I'll give the cord a bit of a dab dry as well. And then we will go back to a camera that works a bit better than this, because this is not doing very well with the overhead lights in here, is it? Right, we'll go back to our normal position and see what we can do with this. Walk this way. And here we are again, back where we are normally now. I can turn that camera off. Settings. Yeah. Cool. Right, it's serving me another advert, so I can't get back in the chat for a minute, because to get the chat I just look at it on YouTube like you look at it to see the chat, you see. And it also then shows me what's going on and if there's any problems. Right, I'm going to plug myself back in as well. So I don't run out of battery power on that. Oh, Penfold's with us. Evening, Penfold. Dominic says, any developments on the U-matic machines, Andy? The U-matic video machines that we had on, was it last week? When I got all those tapes? Yes, there has been a development, Dominic. Not sure if it's a good one or not yet. I was browsing eBay, like you do, the other day, and I found somebody selling five slightly later design of Sony U-matics, the sort that broadcast people used to use, that stacked up in a rack. Basically 20 quid's changed hands and they're now mine. So I've got to go down to London this week and collect 5 more pneumatic machines. So watch out for them, they will be appearing. The only problem is I've got absolutely nowhere to put the damn things. So yes, there have been developments on the U-matic front. Christopher says, my mum really likes the red GPO 746 phone because she had one in the 70s and it brought back memories. She used the red 746 when she was in the UK in the 70s. Yeah, when I first moved in here there was one. Years and years ago there was a red one. Don't know if it was a 706 or a 746. I have a feeling it was a 746. And there was a red one as the house phone. But then when plug and socket came along and that, and it was about the time that plug and socket was coming along, the GPO came and changed it, put a socket in, and took the nice dial phone away and gave us a more modern plasticky push button phone. I'm on that silly top chat again. Why does it always come on to that top chat, which is useless? Dominic says about the U-matic machines, interesting. Smaller and lighter, I'm guessing. Not sure yet, Dominic. Small and light are not things that I associate with U-matic video machines. Got to be smaller than those original Sony ones, though. I've got the JVC one I've got is a bit smaller, but those original Sony ones were just huge. When we do an episode that's properly featuring the U-matics, or I might do a pre-recorded video featuring them, you'll get some idea for just how big and heavy they actually are, 'cause they are massive. Right, so here we are. Here's our cord now. So what we're going to do, it's a bit uncurled, as you can see. So what we've got to do is try and turn this curl the other way. So my apologies, you've seen this all before and you know all about this, but this should tighten up the curl of the cord. It doesn't work 100% effectively, this, all the time, but I would say it's about 80% effective, this. Sometimes it doesn't work. It generally the works, or when you can say it doesn't work, it kind of only sort of half works. Right, that's wound that way, that bit there. So now I've got to do this bit the same way. Right, and that's all the same way now. So this has now got to go the same way. I've only had to rewind half that, because half that was right already. Now you see, it's not as tight as I would like, because the bits that were already wound haven't wound tight, and if I wound those tight the other way, then these bits would wind loose. So it's not been totally effective, this cord. and it's because it's spent years and years with part of it wound the wrong way. Now the only way to really truly restore this is to put this cord around some kind of rod, warm it up in an oven or something, and melt it into shape. But I've never tried it. You just sort of warm it up, not a lot, just a bit. Never tried it, but I think that's going to be good enough for me when it's on a telephone without having to mess about with ovens and things. Right, so all we need to do now is to fit it. And to fit it, I always have to consult my diagrams. I've got a load of little diagrams that I keep folded up in a toolbox here, that show me the basic where everything goes. And this is for a 706, 746, 8746 converted. It's the same for a 741 though. So there is the diagram. Okay. I've been wondering about publishing a book with all diagrams in for all the different phones and that. Would there be any interest in a book with all the diagrams and things in for all different phones? You know, like a little pocket reference book thing. Let me know in the chat and in the comments if you'd be interested in a book with all the technical stuff in. Where are we now? Right, get the right camera handy. So now we've got to start wiring up basically the handset. So handset is T1, 2 and 3, red, green, blue, and then white T10. So your handset cord, which is the one that goes through here on one of these. Now here's something to note. It's got to go on one of these. Your handset cord has got to go through this hole, so you've got to thread it in now, because it goes in there like that, and then it slides across sideways when you actually want to fit it. Like so. Okay, so do that now. Don't wire in all your things and then realise, because you'll not get this end, well, you might just about do it, but you'll struggle to get this end of it through that hole. So don't wire it all up before you fit it. So red, green and blue is 1, 2 and 3. Now you should already have a grey, blue and brown wire on those three terminals respectively, which you will see there that I have. So it's now red, green and blue. I'm going to stand up to do this so I can do it your way around so you can see it. So I'll just loosen what I need to loosen all at one go. So we take red and we stick it on there with that grey one. And you can easily remember this actually, because it's RGB, it's red, green, blue. So it's RGB, just remember RGB, as in RGB video. See my little tag, my little original tag on the cord didn't come off in this case. They sometimes fall off in the water when you're cleaning the cords, but in this case it didn't, which is a bonus. And if you think the bottom of these tags are getting a bit close to the next row and they're not insulated, what you can do is just bend them upwards a bit, so they're a bit more out of the way and not touching the next row down. Right, red, green, blue one is next. Then you should have white left. That one goes on to T10. And that's your curly cord fitted at the telephone end. Okay. Right, we've now got to do the other end of the curly cord. We've now got to do the handset end. So here's a handset. This is actually a late model handset, as you'll see with the pepper pot holes in there. So this is off an 8746 actually. But it was the first one that came to hand when I was looking for a handset. Because I've not got many decent condition ivory handsets, believe it or not. I've got some somewhere, but of course when you want them, they're in the bottom of a box that's at the bottom of a stack of boxes. So what we do is we start taking this all apart. So taking that apart there, take that apart, take that apart, and then it's a case of, move me bit of paper. It's then a case of threading this now back in. Now you'll see two of these wires, the red and the green are long, the blue and the white are short. That's because the red and the green have got to go up the length of the handset, the blue and the white haven't. Alright, so what we do here, and this little bit in the back of a handset, it's not normally loose, but it can be sometimes. These are, I think they're normally glued in actually, but this one is loose for some reason. But we'll stick it in. I'll decide if it being loose as a bonus or not a bit later, but put it in and it's a fairly tight fit. Right, but because it's loose I can actually show you on this, but the hole in the back of this is not, now, can you see that that hole has got like two little notches out of it at like 1 o'clock and 7 o'clock? Can you see those notches out? That's because when you put the end of this through, this metal thing on the end of here corresponds to those notches. Can you see it's got two bits where it's been pinched together that stick out? So when this goes in here, it has to go in through with these going through the notches, and then you twist it through probably about 45 degrees and lock it into position. So you got to do that with this though actually inside the handset. I'll say these don't normally fall out. It was just lucky that this one did, so I could show you that. So that goes like that in the handset. Then we take this and thread it all in. So thread the two long ones of these in first, and gravity is your friend here when you're doing this. So thread the two long ones in there and make sure they keep going on their way and drop right down into there. Okay, so one's gone, one hasn't. That's it. They're both on their way now. Can you see them going down there? And they should pop out the other end eventually, if we get lucky. Just yeah, they're just appearing out the other end there, look. And the blue and the white have got to be stuffed in there as well. And then we look which way those notches are, and they're like that. So you put that in with the notches on, that's all going to, see, that's why it's normally glued in. Right, so line that up with those notch things like that, and put it in and twist it. And as you twist that, now it can't come out now because those metal bits around the end of the cord are now not in line with the notches anymore, so it's gone in and can't come out because it's gone through that thing, you see. So it can't come out now, that. So what you should have now, you should have a blue and a white in here and a red and a green at the top end, and basically all you do is connect those up, the red and the green, to your little 4T transmitter. No, little 4T receiver. I always get receivers and transmitters the wrong way around. You have to think about a candlestick phone, whereas the handset, what people call a receiver, as the bit you put to your ear. Yeah? Yeah, so the bit you put to your ear there is that, which is the receiver. Yeah? So that's the receiver, and your transmitter. This one is an old one with carbon granules in it. You can get more modern ones that were an electronic transmitter, but we're going old school. So what we do to put this in is just undo these little nut things slightly, which have actually got a slot in the top. These little nuts, they are kind of slotted in the top, so you can put a screwdriver on them. So just open them up a bit, because we are going to be connecting those up next. So it doesn't matter which way around these go really, but red to one and green to one. So we'll put green on that one. Now these, the little stem on there should be insulated. It's probably going to be a clear bit of insulation, but they should be insulated just in case they touch on the backs of this. Don't put them on the other way around so they're sticking out, because otherwise you might not get the handset back together if you were to put them on that way around like that. Stick them on this way around like that. So that's one. Now what I've not put in here is the little metal thing. There should be a little metal spring clip that goes around here, that this rests on, and all that metal clip thing does is just to stop this rattling about in here. It just holds it tight to stop it rattling about. If you've not got the metal spring clip, you can put a little bit of foam around the edge of there, or a bit of paper sort of folded up and wedged in. Anything just to stop it rattling about. That's all that metal clip does. I've got some, but when I was looking for all the bits today, of course, I couldn't blooming find them. So I'll come back and put those on at a later date. Do a similar thing now with the blue and the white. Again, it doesn't matter which way round they go. Indeed, it's best it doesn't matter, because the actual transmitter isn't marked. You know, there's no polarity or anything marked on it. You've just got to put them round whichever way. So again, we do them sort of crossways. There's a handy little thing for the wires to sit in. This can be a little bit fiddly because this wire is a bit short for putting these on, but that's basically how you do it. Like that. And then just drop that onto there. I find when I take these apart, often the wires are twisted. And I'm guessing it's something to do with, if you've got a twisted pair, they're less susceptible to interference or something. Don't entirely understand it, but I often find they're twisted when I take them apart. So we've twisted it a little bit. And we'll do that. So that is now wired up. So the handset is now wired to the phone. How cool is that? Right. So now comes the tricky bit. Putting the case on. What do we always say about British telephones? The cases don't go on very easy because they're British telephones and it's not a very good design. You may think, oh, it's a war phone this, it'll be better than desk phone. It's not. They're equally bad. So let me just try and move my camera a little bit so you can see me struggle with this. Right, so I'm not even going to attempt it with the finger wheel on. I thought it something dropped then, but shouldn't have been anything in there. Right, there's the finger wheel, there we go, there's the dial. That dial does need speeding up a little bit, and the way you speed it up is just to push these arms of this governor, just bend them in slightly. Just very slightly, and that should speed it up a bit. That could do with a bit of a clean. In fact, I might just go and do that. I'll just go and give that a bit of a wash. I just found another one of those things from underneath the bell as well. That's one that was lurking about on the desk. So I might be able to put those back in. Right, I'm just going to go and give this and this a bit of a wash, and I'll be back in just a moment. Right, I am back. Here we are. They've had a quick wash in a bit of soapy water. Miles better. What there wasn't on here, there wasn't a little spring clip on, was there? but it's not crucial. So some phones you do find are missing them, but there should be a little spring clip that goes on there, but it was missing off this. Right, so I'll stick that back on and take it off and not realise I'd done it, did I? No, it just wasn't there in the first place. Right, so we've done that now, so now I've got to somehow fit this. Now with these, there's nothing for them to clip onto at the top edge here, which would be the back edge on a 746, wouldn't it? Just thinking about it, there's nothing for them to clip onto, but there are a couple of little standoff things in the case there. Can you see little notch things there on the case that fit up against the edge of this here. Okay, so, and we also of course have to get the switch hooks, or hook switch rather, through the holes on there. So we have to firstly line up the cutout on the dial bezel with the cutout in the body of the phone, so somewhere there like that. Then we have to place it on from the top like that, get that over the cutout there. So I'm going to do it again so you can see me do it, because I was on the wrong camera. So place that on from the top, that over the cutout thing there, and then it should all just clip like that. So that's all going to go together. But what have we not done? Of course, we've not put a line cord on it. So next thing we need to do, that's my fancy screw there, that. So I'm just going to put that to one side a minute while we do a line cord. Now, I said I wasn't going to use that little line cord that I've got because I might need it for something, didn't I? But I have here got a grey line cord. Now these phones wouldn't normally have a line cord with a grommet on the end, because what you used to do with these was there's a knockout in the back of them that actually hasn't been knocked out on this, so I don't know how on earth they ever wired this one up. Maybe it was never used, this one. But there's a knockout on the back of the phone. This one's got two. It's got one there and one there, and that is where your cord would go in. Okay, that's where your what's it called would go in, where your line cord would go in, and it would normally not be a line cord. It would actually just be the drop cable coming from outside. So your actual telephone line cable comes straight into your house through the windowsill or whatever, straight into the back of this phone, because these phones were never moved, they were attached permanently to the wall. So you need to knock out one of these knockouts, and let's see how easy it's not to do that, shall we? Which one am I going to go for? I'm going to go for the high up one. That one there. And you're supposed to be able to just do that and knock them out, and it has actually done it. There you go, you see? Knocked it out. So we then take what is going to substitute as our line cord. Now I've got this cord here that's got RJ11 connectors, American RJ11s on the end of it, both ends of it. But I'm going to chop those off and just use the cord. So I've got quite a few of these. So I'm going to recycle this bit of grey wire. So I'll chop that RJ11 off. That's no good. Go in the bin, and I've got these magic things here, and I can't remember where I bought these from. I might have even got them out of B&Q, but you will pay over the odds for stuff in B&Q. And what these magically do, they've got a line, they've got a thing to strip cord, so it doesn't, two blades that don't go totally together, so you can put a bit of this flat cord in, hold it very tight like that, pull, and in theory that should have stripped it without taking off the plastic coating, and it has. Now the colours in these are yellow, green, red and black. Black and yellow are your line, they are equivalent to your red and your white, and just remember black is white, so black is equivalent to white, yellow is equivalent to red. Of your centre two, green is equivalent to blue, your ringing wire, so that's the other one that we need. We don't need the red one, so we can chop the red one off. The red one is not required. Okay, we just need those three, and I might need to strip a bit more of the outer cable off than that, so we'll do it again. So put it in my magic cutter things, hold them nice and tight, there we go, and that's done it again, you see. Now I've got a bit of red again, you see. So again, we'll get rid of the red one. Not cut through it properly. Right, so there we have it. So what you need to properly do really is solder a little fork connector to the end of each of these, of course, but because we're only doing it quick, I'm just going to bare a bit at the end of these and then grab it under the screw terminals. So just going to get some of the copper core of the cable exposed. That's not actually worked terribly well. Let me do that all again. Put all those straight again, and I'll just try and redo that. That's more like it. Working better when I do it a bit closer to me. Just twist the ends of it. Not much copper in these. So you don't really want to put any weight on this cable, don't get pulling on it or anything, because obviously it's not going to have strain relief on it, which you would ideally have. And there's my third one, that's my black one. So I've got my three ends of my cable now. I'm going to shove through my knockout and the phone. flip it back over. And now this just needs to be wired up the normal way for wiring up the 746. So they're all wired together, that's fine on there. So white one goes on to T18, red one goes on to T8, and blue goes on to T6. Right. So remember I said black is white, yeah? So that goes on to T18. Just make a bit of a hook on the end of the wire that I've got there. Very well twisted actually, all that. Much easier if you solder a fork connector on, but I'm just showing you how to do it this way, just to prove you don't actually have to have the fork connector. Sorry my fat hand is in the way there, but nothing I can do about it. So one's on there, so that's the equivalent of white, and yellow, black and yellow are your ones, so yellow is the equivalent of red. That's got to go then to T8. Now this has already been partly converted because all those were joined together as they should be for a conversion. If we look in here now, this is done right, but what you should have in here, you should have a resistor. Let me just double check exactly where it should go in theory, but it's got to go in that block there. So your resistor has theoretically got to go between T4 and T5, and then there's a wire goes off T4 to the bell set. So 1, 2, 3, 4 is there. Don't know if you can see that. Oh, I've moved my camera, haven't I? T4 is there. Wire going off there to the bell set. So that to that should be a resistor. If you want to run more than one phone off your line, or off your extension, or off a master socket basically. If you want to run more than one phone off a master socket, you've got to put that resistor in to make it the phone value 1 Ren rather than 4 Ren, which these are naturally. I'm not going to put the resistor in for now, just for the purposes of demonstrating this. And also, because I use a PBX, I only tend to run one phone off of a socket, because all the sockets on the PBX are master sockets, so I only tend to run one phone off of them. So green on this particular weird coloured cord is equivalent to blue normally. So whereas normally you would cut the green off and not use it, on this, because the colour scheme is strange, we do use it. So it should actually go not there, which was loose, which is what fooled me. It should should actually go on there, on T6, but they're all joined together. So hook green there. Around that one. This is the fiddly one to get on. Right off. Got it. So there's your green there. Right, so now we've wired that up, we will now try and put this case on. So here we go. So there it is. Line all that up on at the top. Over the dial. Right. Oh. It's alright. Just adjusting things a bit. Right, it's on. So this is where your magic screw comes in now, because it fits in this hole under here, which isn't actually fully a hole, it's just a kind of weirdly shaped thing, and it should fit the hole that is somewhere there. And it just sort of screws in basically to be flush with the case, and the idea is that hole is kind of 3/4 of a hole, so it shouldn't be able to now pull up the bottom of the case, and it can't. That's got it. So now we've got a phone that's almost back together. So we will now put the finger plate back on there. We'll not put the metal clip on, being it didn't have one, but then we can put the finger wheel back on, making sure it locates little holes. There's either one or two little pips on there and a couple of little holes in the finger wheel. You have to make sure it locates on those. Then you've got a screw that goes in the middle of it all, of course. And you screw it all together. Now what we didn't check is the speed it's running at. 1001. It's still a bit slow. It needs to go 1001. But it might speed up with use. So if you speed them up when you first restore one that's not been used for a while, if you speed it up, to make it run at the right speed. After it's been in use for a couple of weeks, you find it's running too fast and you have to slow it down again. Right, I'll just catch up with the chat because I've not really caught up with it for a while. I've been doing all that. Christopher says, what's behind that door, Andy, that's behind you when you do your streams? Always wondered when I watch your streams. I went through it on one of them, Christopher, so you obviously didn't watch all of them. You must have missed one. All there is through there, basically, is a downstairs shower and a sink. Basically. Well, in the UK, of course, there used to be things called coal houses built onto the end of your house in the UK, and that used to be a coal house that was accessed from outside. And when all this got redeveloped, there was a door put into the inside to make it a little sort of downstairs bathroomy thing with a shower and a sink in it. But yeah, that's all there is. There's nothing exciting behind it. Now, I will tell you a little story about that door. Somebody a while back, and I can't remember who it was now, but somebody said if you're in the UK, there used to be a kids program on television in the UK called Number 73, and the logo of Number 73 was the front door of a house, and it was red with a big yellow 73 on it, and it was a door not dissimilar to that one. And somebody said, why don't you paint it red and put a 73 on it? Might do that one of these days. But yeah, that's all it is. It goes nowhere. It just goes into a little thing with a sink and a shower, and it's also full of rubbish as well, and junk and things. So yeah, it's full of rubbish. You wondered, didn't you, Christopher? Christopher also says, it took me 10 minutes the other day to put my 7.1 case back on, and you're right, it is a pain to put British phone cases back on. Yeah, it is. British phone cases are terrible. You get an American phone case, you go boom, straight on. British ones are hopeless. They said, did you get my custom dial labels? I have got it, I think, Christopher. I've just not read it yet. Penfold says, the T-brackets for the wall phones go for a lot of money on eBay. They do. They're about £7, the T-brackets are, the original metal ones. Fat Hobbit says, I think there's a big GPO red dragon behind that door. Yeah, no, sorry, no dragons behind the door. GPO red dragon. Did you go? The only red dragon I can think of is the one off Ivo the Engine. Oh, Mr. Jones, it's getting a little bit cold in my volcano, Mr. Jones. When you finish here tonight, type in to YouTube something like A Life in Small Films. It's all about Oliver Postgate and the brilliant company called Small Films that made all those fantastic kid shows from the 70s. Things like Ivor the Engine and I think he did Noggin the Nog as well, and Bagpuss and all sorts of stuff like that. Absolutely brilliant. Peter Firmin, no, is it Peter Firmin and Oliver Postgate? I think it's Peter Firmin, the other guy that did it with him. But yeah, Life in Small Films. When you finished it tonight, type that into YouTube. It's on. I watched it the other day. It's fantastic. I've seen it before. It was on the TV, but it's worth watching again. But oh yeah, it's just the dragon, the Welsh dragon. Oh yes. Oh, Mr. Jones. If you're not from the UK, you'll not understand that at all. Right, I'm just going through here. Christopher says, I've got my GEC 711 wall phone wired the old-fashioned way in my railway room. So it's wired two wires onto the Australian phone system, which would be the way to do it in Australia, because you only have a two-wire system anyway there, don't you, Christopher? So basically the way we used to do it before we had plug and socket in the UK. Wesley says, I remember number 73 Sandy Toksvig was on it, if I recall. Yes, yeah, it was one of the first jobs, if not a very first job in television. Number 73 for Sandy Toksvig, and I thought then that Sandy Toksvig was good when she was on number 73. She played the character called Ethel on number 73. Quite unusual, because most of the people on number 73 used their own real names, although it was kind of a fictitious. It was an oddball thing. 73. It was a bit like Swap Shop. It was a competitor to things like Swap Shop and Saturday Superstore on but it was an ITV, and it was a competitor, but it was kind of set not in a studio but in a fictional world, which was actually supposed to be a big house that had been divided up into bedsits, I think, in Maidstone. And it was actually filmed at TVS's studios in Maidstone. So they had this kind of fictional world of this house with these sets and that, but all the people in it were real. So you'd have like Delia Smith coming in and doing cookery, and there was a guy that used to come in, the zoo vet guy used to come in and things like that. In fact, the story about the zoo vet guy that came in, he came in once doing a piece, and it was a live show, remember, on a Saturday morning. For about 3 hours. He came in to do a piece about spiders, and they got a black widow spider in a tank, and it got out. And and the black widow spiders are not very big. They're only very, very tiny, but are of course dangerous. You know, I don't think a bite from one would kill you unless you're allergic to it, but it's very nasty. You don't want to get bitten by it, and this one got out live on number 73, and this set was a very, very busy set, because it was supposed to be an old Victorian townhouse thing that all these people were living in. It was really over decorated, this set. You know, there was stuff everywhere, a bit like here really. And so of course they couldn't find this spider, and they had to carry on and do a 3-hour live television show with this deadly spider somewhere in the set. You have never seen such nervous people on television in all your life. I will remember that forever. Jimmy Myers says, do you remember Charlton and the Wheelies? All I'm going to say to that, Jimmy, is, hello, little old lady. Right, back to the telephone. We've about cracked it, haven't we? We've about sussed it now, so we've got the phone here, and we can put the handset on the top of it. I'll put it that way around. So there we have it. We've cracked it. You all want to know if it works, don't you? But there's one thing, of course, we've not done yet, and the one thing we've not done yet, and I've got to go quick now because I'm running out of time, is we've not put a thing on this end, because this has got the wrong connector on this end, so I've got to chop that off. Put a UK connector on. Now this magic thing that I've got in my hand here, this magic tool, has got a thing. Not only does it, if you put it in those jaws, not only does it strip the cable without cutting the inner core, because those teeth are on one side, if you put it in from the side up against the stop that's in there, can you see that stop? Alright, put it in like that, the stop, and clamp down on it. That should cut off exactly the right amount, like that, to fit into a modern connector like that, one of those. Okay, now I've got to get this the right way round though, because remember these are all weird colours, so I don't know if you can see this or not, but on this outer side is yellow and on this outer side is black. Now remember I said black is white. Now when you're putting these into a connector, and I've got to get my bit of paper here to just double check this again, it should go into the connector that way up, as black, red, green, yellow. Okay, black, red, green, yellow. Because black is white, and you normally have white on the left. So to get it that way up, black, red, green, yellow. So it's got to go that way in. Right, let me get this on the other camera. And you've got to get it. This particular one of these has got 6 cores, and they're all active on this because it's got 6 little metal things in there. Some only have 4 metal things up the centre 4 holes. You've got to get these 4 cores of this up the centre 4 holes of that. And it's not easy. No, I don't think I've got it. So you've got to get it up the centre 4, and there's 6. So what you need to do generally is to try and separate these out a little bit, but these ones are being a bit awkward to separate out, if I'm honest with you. Right, have I got that this time? Has that gone up the 4 centre cores? If I put that under that camera, I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not. Do you think it has? I think it probably has. Can you just see black, red, green, yellow up the centre 4 of those? I think it's gone where it should have that. So once you've got that where it ought to be, like that, you then get another tool, which is this thing here, and you plug your where am I? Over here somewhere. You plug your thing into there like that till it clicks, and then you clamp down on this as hard as you can, and it should push down the little metal things, and I think that's done it. It should push down the little metal tabs there, the little metal blade things, pushes them down onto the wire, makes the connection, and that should have made the connection onto there. So now in theory that should, and I say should quite loosely, that should have wired it all together. So if I move a few things around now down here, so I've got space to plug it in, we should be able to now plug this phone in and see if it works. And if it doesn't, we'll be coming back to it next week. Now, I did just hear a click, so I've got a feeling we may be getting somewhere. So here it is. Let's have a listen. Oh yeah, there's a dial tone on it. Right, if I dial 21, it should make the black phone on my desk ring. But it's a bit slow. Oh, it is working even though it's slow. Yeah, the black phone is ringing. So put that down a minute. Blow into the black one and listen on this one. Yeah, that's working. Blow into this one, listen on the black one. Yeah, it's working. So that is working, but you see how that rattles? That's because I didn't put those little metal springy things in the handset. Okay, so we'll do it the other way around. We'll dial 20, 21, 23, I think it's on. And it's not ringing. But when I pick up, is it working? Yeah, it is. Does it hang up when I hang it up? Yes, it does. So it's not ringing. That could be dodgy bell coils or something. So we'll have to come back to that and look at why it's not ringing. But basically it's working. There's just some reason why it just doesn't want to ring. But there you go, there's the phone. Right, it is almost time for us to go and call it a day. Just time to remind you though that if you want to get in touch with us here at Andy's Shed, you can do via the contact form on our website, which you will find here, andyshed.colepress.net. And other ways of doing it, of course, you'll leave a comment in the comments for this video as well. If you like what we do here and you want to support us, firstly, make sure you like the video and make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. But also, if you want to support us for just the equivalent of £1 a month, wherever you are in the world, you can do it by becoming one of our patrons. Find out more about it here at patreon.com/AndyShed. Like I say, just £1 a month, and every little helps. And 1 or 2 people are patrons. You'll see the patrons' names come up at the end of the show here tonight. And don't forget, if you want some phone cases as well, for a 741 or for other phones and other bits and pieces as well, we've got the shop andysemporium.colepress.net for the shop. So lots of websites there for you to have a little look at. I'll just do one little catch up on the chat. Christopher says, one of my favourite railway crossings is being removed soon by the government because they think it's a dangerous crossing when it's not. I have some video of crossings in the early 2000s and it's now on YouTube on my railway channel, which it is. Go and check out Christopher 2000's railway channel. Wesley says, I found BT revelation systems to be tolerant to suboptimal dial speed. Well, this one certainly is, Wesley, because this dial is really, really, really slow on this, but it seems to have worked on the rev, because this is coupled up to a BT revelation. Yeah. Chris says, my mum likes using my red GPO 746 as a home phone. Why not? Why not? But the best way to keep these old phones in good condition and to stop them seizing up and stop the dial seizing up and things is to use them. So yeah, why not use them? Like any mechanical thing, the best way to preserve it for the future really is to use it. Anybody who's got old cars or things like that will tell you, if you put it in a garage for 10 years and forget about it, it'll never run again when you come to it. You know, you need to keep using it. Wesley says he remembers Charlton and the Wheelies. Dominic says I saw a bit of the all pink windmill show the other day, and they regularly messed up each phone call. Looks like it was a pink 782 or 756. Did it have push buttons? I thought it was a dial phone. I thought it had a dial on it. That pink phone on Emu's All Life Pink Windmill show, if you look at it, it's got, at least the one on the ones that I've seen, it's got a black line cord and it's got a black curly cord. And I thought it was a 706 that they painted black, but that they painted pink rather, a black one that they painted pink. I could be wrong though. So I thought it was like an Ericsson N1900 or something, or a 706 clone that they used at the studio as a black one that they painted pink for the show. But I could be wrong. I'll have to have another look. But they did regularly used to mess up the dialing, didn't they? But I thought they dialed. You should be able to tell if they're dialing or pushing buttons. So I might have to have another look at that. Be able to work it out. It's on my list of things to do. When I get 5 minutes, I'm going to recreate some of these famous telephones. Working on the theory that I can't get hold of the original ones, unless anybody happens to have the original ones somewhere that they want to get rid of. But yeah, there's that from Emu's All Life Pink Windmill show, that pink telephone. There's basically a load of trim phones. And other things as well, but mainly trim phones that were used on Swap Shop, which were oddball colours, some of them. There's the famous golden trim phone from the Golden Shot. There's the Bankers 300 series from Deal or No Deal. That one's a bit boring because it is just an ordinary 300 series phone. I actually know the guy who supplied that to the production company, but it is a genuine 300 series that the bank used on Golden Shot. And there must be some other famous ones as well. The speakerphone from Charlie's Angels that Charlie speaks out of in Charlie's Angels. I want one of those. I've got people in America looking for those and nobody's been able to find one yet. Christopher says I use a PBX to do pulse to tone conversion. That's a good way of doing it, Christopher. It's better to use a PBX to do it than it is to buy these expensive gizmos and that actually fit inside the phone. Far better, I think, just to use a PBX to do it. Right, that is about as far as we go for this week. Noting that time is pressing on. We will be back, all being well, Wednesday night 11:30 for Andy's Shed Late, and then back for another Andy's Shed Live here next Sunday around about 6 p.m. I say around about 6 p.m. next Sunday. We might be a little bit later because I am rushing back from Hedge Windmill, from an event at Hedge Windmill next Sunday. So I'm going to be flying back here for time to get on air. So if we're a little bit late next Sunday, please forgive me. But the next show, the next live show anyway, is on Wednesday at 11:30 for Andy's Shed Late, when hopefully we'll catch up on some of the pictures and things that you've sent in as well. The only other thing to tell you is to remind you that if you want to stay in the community while we're not on air, we now have the forum where you can go and post stuff. gpotelephones.proboards.com is the forum address. As I said earlier, if you've been having trouble uploading pictures to the forum, there is now a thread on there telling you exactly how to do it. So hopefully some more people will be putting pictures and stuff up over the week ahead. But that is about it from me for now. We will return to this phone and find out why this is not ringing out. Probably next week or so. when we've got nothing to do, which will probably be never, because we've never got nothing to do. But we will return to it soon, and we'll finish it off. It wants a dial label and thing put in there as well. And we'll finish it off and give it a bit of a clean up, because the handset's a bit manky on it, and then that will be another one restored. So thanks for watching today. Thanks for getting involved. Remember, patreon.com/AndyShed if you want to support us. Also give us a like and give us a subscribe. We'll see you back here 11:30 on a Wednesday night. That is UK time, of course. 11:30 UK time on a Wednesday night for Andy Shed Late, and back here for the live at 6 o'clock next weekend. Have a fantastic week ahead. And Christopher says he'll be getting his new Ericsson N1900E240 soon. Maybe it'll have arrived by next week. You never know. We'll see you next time here on Andy Shed Live. Thanks again, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now.